Well, good morning, all. Yeah, it's a little better. Good morning, all. There we go. Yay. My name is Eric Bourne. I see familiar faces, and I'm always pleased to see familiar faces, and I'm extra pleased to see some unfamiliar faces. I want to, in the brief moment that I have right now, I want to share with you kind of the overall goal of what we hope to accomplish during our Learn Shop. And yes, I've called this a Learn Shop and not a workshop. As far as I'm concerned, workshops should be removed and replaced with Learn Shops, because the activity that's supposed to take place during these opportunities should be learning and not necessarily work. And if you see them as one and the same, well, obviously, philosophically, we need to have a different discussion. So during this Learn Shop, our goal is informative. And what I mean by that, our goal for this panel discussion is to present a representation of the most current understanding of autism, how students with autism experience LBCC, and how they can be more effectively served. The opportunity for you to hear from individuals on our panel, from their firsthand knowledge of what their experiences are in serving, being, working with individuals with autism. This is an opportunity for you, for me, to gain new tools and new insights. Ideally, if we are successful, and that's definitely my goal, a learning experience will take place and an opportunity for dialogue will also take place. The primary reason for having the note cards handed out to you was to gain some additional information from the direction that you're coming from as you walk through the door today, so that as we go through some of the common misunderstandings, misrepresentations, myths regarding the topic of autism, we can gain from you some more targeted bits of information and provide you with the opportunity, as we finish up here and you head back to your classroom, to your offices, a more solid set of tools to be able to assist individuals, whether students or otherwise, who have the challenge of a disability such as autism or a form of autism. So let me now take an opportunity to introduce myself. I am co-facilitating along with Dan Hansch, and Dan will introduce himself in just a moment. After we have an opportunity to introduce ourselves, I will have our panel members introduce themselves. And then I'd like to go rather systematically through some common myths and misunderstandings and have them speak from their vantage point, from their perspective on how they perceive the best way to work with that understanding or the lack of understanding. In fact, before I introduce myself, I want to emphasize something. Scientifically speaking, there's a very straightforward definition of what autism and autism spectrum is defined as. I'm not going to give you that definition. You can look that up. Instead, each one of you comes through that set of doors with your own perception. Okay? That's non-scientific. You may argue that point, but I'll stand firm on the fact that your perspective, your perception, is founded from your experiences. And the goal for today is to be able to gain from those who deal on a daily basis from their experiences to help mold your own experiences and your perspectives. So if your search today is in identifying some scientific knowledge, I'm sure the panelists afterward will be more than happy to guide you to some specific points on the World Wide Web. But instead, we're looking to gain from their experience, their perceptions, and their perspectives. Okay, so having said that, again, my name is Eric Bourne. I am the Director of Access Programs that incorporates CalWORKs, DSPS, EOPS, and CARE. I know I'm not looking to add to that list. It's a long enough list. Thank you. But it is indeed an honor to be here with you today to be able to not only represent those programs, but specifically our students. Our students happen to be students that traditionally are disadvantaged, whether by disability culture, economics. They have challenges, and they're trying to meet the needs of those challenges while also attaining their education. The challenge by itself, no biggie. We all collectively have challenges we deal with on a daily basis, but none necessarily quite so consuming as some that individuals with disabilities have to try to compensate for in their learning experiences. This is an opportunity for me, as the director of the DSPS program, to be able to hopefully open the door to a huge resource of information and reservoir of knowledge so that you can gain firsthand, not from me. I can talk your ear off. I won't do that, though. But from those who have a much broader knowledge base about the topic, about the issues, about the challenges that individuals with disabilities, and specifically in the autistic spectrum, can share with you. That's a little bit about me. Dan, you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, just real quickly, my name is Dan Hatch. I'm a counselor in the DSPS and I'm a learning disability specialist here as well. Not that I've been floating around with the sergeant about.
Kept asking for a squirt gun so that it could actually squirt the people who were being rude. I don't understand what that was about. I'm kidding. So, you've met Dan and I. I'd like you to meet the panel, and if we can start from my left, I guess your right. If you'd please introduce yourself and identify from where you are.
My name is Joyce Geib. I'm the animal care teacher for Long Beach Unified School District. I teach high school at Cabrillo in the morning, Jordan in the afternoon, and at night I teach adult ed. And I've been lucky enough to have several of the students, including the one sitting here with me. And I find them fascinating and interesting, but animals make a difference for everybody.
Hello, my name is Ava Tarani, and I work for College Internship Program. I teach mindfulness at the program. I teach reframing. It's a program where young adults that have learning differences or disabilities come to the center. It's comprehensive. We help them with academics. We help them with wellness. And I am the academic coordinator. Many of our students are cognitively able to get through college. The parts that I really help them with has to do with organization and executive functioning, task management, and ultimately I help them become task masters. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eliza Wilson. Excuse me. I'm part of the CIP program and an individual on the autism spectrum. I have, basically been born with autism all my life, and it's what I am, everything I encompass is what autism is. And also, I've been advocating for quite a while. My mom is the executive director of the Autism Society of LA. So that's one resource. And I am also part of the CIP program. And also Miss Geib's animal care class.
Hello, my name is Colleen Mock. I'm Director of Community Services at Harbor Regional Center. Harbor Regional Center serves over 12,000 clients, many clients here in the city of Long Beach. We heard from our families, for many years we heard from our families of the interest of our students, particularly our students with autism, to obtain post-secondary education, to go to Long Beach City College, to go to Cal State Long Beach. And we worked for many years here with Long Beach City College to develop a program, college internship program, that we started about 2.5 years ago. So we fund over 20 clients to attend that program, and we worked with another nonprofit agency to purchase housing. So we have housing as well. We also have worked with the college internship program looking toward a 4-year degree, and we're just so happy to have these opportunities for our students that we share in common.
Hi, I'm Shauna Hageman. I'm a counselor here in Disabled Student Services. And today I'm very, very happy to be here to share our College to Career program that we've grown with the Harbor Regional Center to serve our students with intellectual disabilities and autism. It's a comprehensive program. It's our homegrown program, free of charge for our students. Our main goal is to assist our students in obtaining certificates or AA degrees in 4 years or less. And I have to say that we've had our first graduate who has then gone on, and she just got a job last week, and she will be moving out in, she'll be able to live independently in her own apartment. So we've had our first success story. This program started in 2011, and I have to say I have been very quiet about it because we weren't quite sure what was going to happen. But I'm happy to say that we now have data, and we now have evaluations. We know that those are very important, and we can show that our program has an 89% success rate for our students, so yay.
Hi, my name is Uriel Gertman. My major is audio production and engineering, and I am a student in College to Career, which is known as C2C, in which Shauna has mentioned earlier. This is actually a wonderful opportunity for me to speak up and let everyone know that I have autism as well, and I've decided to become a self-advocate and advocate for those who have autism. And it's also a very productive way for me to express myself in my music as an artist. And to describe C2C, basically it's a wonderful program for students with various disabilities. And in C2C, you receive support from tutors, such as educational coaches for your college education, to achieve your certificate or your degree. And you receive support from mentors for developing your independent living skills while you get to have your own apartment with a roommate, you know. And not only those two portions, you get to participate in social activities and field trips, workshops, such as cooking to learn new recipes, homework assistance, since school is a really big deal, and developing friendships and relationships, if you like. And I was also given an opportunity to work with the Long Beach City College Media Production Services from C2C, in which I volunteered to work with a couple of nice gentlemen that helped me learn how to direct, film, and edit videos. And for a little entertainment, I added some music production to all of the scenes, and to create a C2C documentary with some other helpful C2C students. And from that, I have gained a sense of teamwork and leadership. Also, I have passed my music recording classes here at LBCC, which is why I am close to having a certificate. So basically, overall, my message is, if you turn your disability into an ability, you can succeed in anything, even if you have a disability or autism. And just for your quick little entertainment, I would like to present a song that I have written and recorded and produced and mastered myself.
And Uriel, before I put that on, sorry, thank you. Before I put that on, can I have Marlene introduce herself, and then I'll put it on.
No problem.
Okay. Hi, I'm Marlene Martin. I'm a developmental specialist. I work with a company in Monrovia, California called Real Connections Child Development Institute. I work with families of children, adolescents, and young adults. I want to be brief about this because I really am looking forward to hearing Urel's song. We use a specific model called the DIR model, where we look at children from a developmental, individual differences and relationship-based perspective. And the work we do is based in neurobiological research and also attachment research. And that's it.
Well, thank you all for your introductions, and certainly to bring the focus back to Urel. Here is his piece.
Let me introduce you to an MC with a symptom, who's a fighter to the heart and never seen as a victim. I'll never give it up and be weak, because you think of human beings who are autistic, needs to be given wisdom. Now I'm gonna go on my hardest to make a living, regardless your way you're thinking. Your hardest to say that winning is impossible for us. We're cursing you kick for living. We're on earth and we're still committing to earn independent living. Now this is just a message to all my fellow humans who are suffering with my pain. But are you here to make a difference? For what you have, you can use it. As long as you put your heart into it, you can do it. Don't worry about the ones who care about doing you wrong. I know what it's like to be hurt for way too long. As long as you follow me, you know you are not alone. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
That is talent.
Thank you.
Okay. Before I get started with these common myths, I do want to just do a brief overview on the understanding of autism. However, I'm not going to do that. I've asked instead if Shauna on the panel will share that with the rest of the audience.
Say again?
Brief overview on autism for everybody.
Okay. So I'm going to be looking for my helpful panel to fill in the gaps. But autism is a diagnosis that's in the diagnostic medical, what is it, the DSM medical review. It's a spectrum disorder. People can be affected in many different ways. Autism is different than Asperger's. It's an emerging diagnosis. That's the joy of working in the field that we work in, is nothing gets stale. Fortunately or unfortunately, different types of disabilities blossom all the time depending on our society and what society brings us. As an example, PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, we didn't have that 10 years ago, per se. And so autism is another emerging disability. Does anybody else want to fill in the gaps?
It focuses on communication and social, although you certainly wouldn't see it displayed today. And we are seeing, as I said, breaking through the myths. We've seen a number of people who've graduated from four-year college and gotten wonderful jobs. We have one gentleman who just got his CPA licensed and was hired by an accounting firm and started last week.
From my experience, I've seen many of the students that come to CIP or when I was teaching high school, many of them were, it seemed, almost traumatized on a day-to-day basis by sensory overload. And that really changed my perspective, because there are times when I could be in a room and if it's very, very loud, I can feel overwhelmed. But imagine that times 1,000, and for possibly every single sense in your body. That is something that many of my students encounter. So it's an interesting perspective to take a look at and to be mindful of.
From a slightly more scientific approach, I apologize. I'm going to do my best to just not get crazy, because I tend to talk and talk. But autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects the way that the brain creates neurological connections, specifically the long-distance neurological connections. So if you think of the brain as one thing, it actually is many different parts, and each one of those parts has to speak to the other parts. And in fact, even just sitting here listening, being in a calm, focused, and alert state is actually taking multiple parts of your brain working at the same time, and they have to be communicating with each other. So in a sense, the reason that autism is such a huge spectrum disorder is because everyone is an individual, and so everyone's brain develops differently. One of the things that we often say, and that many people say, is if you know one person on the autism spectrum, you know one person on the autism spectrum. So it's important to keep in mind, as Ava mentioned, that every individual on the autism spectrum is an individual, and they each have very different biological and sensory-based profiles. And so I have a lot more to say, but I'll keep it for answering some of the questions. I hope that is helpful.
Also, I believe that autism is an invisible disability. It's not as apparent as people who have say cerebral palsy or different disabilities of that nature. Also, as far as senses and overwhelming goes, some people who have senses can be used for a good thing. For example, if there is music playing in a store or whatever, I can hear it when nobody else can. So that's...
Thank you. Excellent overview. I'm going to attempt to transition now into some of the common myths and kind of go in order from my left or your right across. And what we're looking for is, or what I'm looking for is, from these statements, from these not necessarily most accurate statements, what you perceive them as and how you would address them. So I'm going to start with the first one, and I'm going to throw it in Joyce's direction. The first one is, people with autism don't want or know how to be a friend. If someone in your class has autism, she probably struggles with social skills, which may make it difficult to interact with peers. She might seem shy or unfriendly, but that's just because she's unable to communicate her desire. In your experience, how have you dealt with that?
When I taught a diversified class, and it was an amazing class, I had a young lady who hadn't come out of her house in 3 years, but she came to my class. When she first arrived, she sat with her head down and didn't say anything to anyone. And my special ed teacher that I taught this with brought in her golden retrievers every day. Somehow, those amazing dogs interacted with all my students, and this one started sitting up a little more. We were lucky enough to have work-based learning sites, and the first one we did was the Aquarium of the Pacific. She went with us to the Aquarium of the Pacific, and she stood behind everybody, and she still wasn't talking to any of us, but observing. But she came to class every day, which her mother thought was amazing. When we were at the Aquarium of the Pacific, we were put with housekeeping, and come to find out, she was immaculate at home, and that was her thing to do. We went into the ladies' restroom, and I don't know what she did, but everyone that came out said, I have never seen it look like that before. When we came back to the class, she no longer had her head down. She sat up, she even smiled. And as we progressed through, we not only did the aquarium, we did Petco, we did animal control. Each time she came out, and ultimately was a volunteer for SBCALA. So I have been totally blessed with my students. I went from that high school situation to having them come to my classes, and then I did an adult class for an hour, 2 hours a week. And now I have Eliza and Eddie, who are amazing, and I don't seem to have the problem that everybody else does because I'm lucky enough to have animals in my class. And they totally relate. So,
as I was saying before, with my students or with the students I have encountered, a lot of the students may seem closed off because they're very sensitive to their environment. And as a result, it's difficult for a person to feel safe and calm, and may come off as wanting to not be with other people, not be a good friend. But a lot of times what I've seen is that they can over empathize, over identify. Sometimes I walk into the room in the morning, I teach a reframing class, and we talk about a thing called the HALT chart. It's an emotional thermometer. So we have to talk about if we're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, anxious, frustrated, disoriented. And while I'm writing the HALT chart, I haven't even spoken a word, and many of my students could know right off the bat that I'm not feeling well that day. And they're incredibly observant. And so if you are having, imagine if you are somebody that is having a really bad day to students, in front of students that are incredibly sensitive to their environment or to other people, they may want to close themselves off to feel safer and calmer.
Well, yeah, can you re-ask the question, please?
I would be happy to. People with autism don't want or know how to be a friend.
Well, in some cases, that may be true, but in most cases, it's not. Some of them have been isolated, closed off, been overprotected by parents, yada yada yada. The list goes on. But it's because some people with autism usually only connect with certain people that certain people that have certain interests. If another person has different interests, and like the person with autism is like, eh. So that's basically my input on it. It depends on the person.
It really is a myth. Several years ago, Harbor Regional Center worked very closely with the Long Beach Unified School District to have a program for students in the last year of high school here in Long Beach to get experience, and we worked at the Long Beach Courthouse. We had one of our students interns working in the courthouse, had some vision problems. The district really didn't pounce on it, but one of the other students brought in a magnifying glass for her peer to be able to see better. Remember that? In fact, the person who was so observant is my speaker to the right. Mm-hmm. She picked up on something when the whole entire district didn't, and so she provided support to that peer. So thank you, Elijah, for being the true friend that you would have.
Well, I can definitely say that's a myth. And I know Uriel will fill in the gaps. Our program obviously supports the students in their educational goals and their academics through educational coaching and tutoring, but we also work on social skills and how to advocate effectively with the faculty and staff on campus, identifying resources, etc. What we haven't had to worry about is activities, socialization, and forming relationships. They are worlds ahead of us. Our students are the same as us. They have made new friends in the program and form relationships. We have soap operas going on constantly, as you can imagine, in a dorm-like setting. So they're absolutely the same as any other college student. So Uriel, you want to take it from there about your socialization?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, like I've mentioned before, you know, despite of my diagnosis, or in other words having autism, I'm one of the students who have been blessed to be in C2C. C2C, you know, for students with various disabilities, you know, that gets to continue my education and you know, basically just prove a lot of people wrong, you know, because a lot of people, as far as autism, they take our diagnosis as if they take our diagnosis as a weakness, as if we're not able to accomplish anything, you know, despite the level of our disability, which is autism. And there are many different levels as far as autism. And like what Elijah was mentioning earlier, you know, my autism is pretty much invisible or unseen, and you know, and it's one of those higher functioning levels of autism, you know, and that's why it's very important. And that's why it's very important to speak up and use your self-advocacy skills. And that's what also C2C has also been teaching the students in the C2C program, you know, besides socialization skills, participating in activities, you know, self-advocacy is basically the key factor. It's very important.
So people with autism are not all the same. And some may be very personable and outgoing, others may be painfully shy, and others still may blurt out things or say something we may consider rude. The truth is, people with autism are people. They can feel insecure and unsure of themselves. They may feel overwhelmed by the expectations they may imagine that others have for them, or that others truly have for them. Or they may not be able to determine what those expectations are at all. And that causes a whole new set of reasons to be overwhelmed. The difference for them is that their brain is just not firing as efficiently as a neurotypical brain. We all have differences, we said that earlier, but specifically not having these long-distance cross-modal neurological connections makes it a little more difficult. You have to think longer. It takes a little longer to do things. It's not that you can't, it's just that you need a little more time, or you need some assistance, or you need a different type of support that someone else may not need. And I want you to think about this. A typical social interaction, what it takes. We have to unencrypt millions of social messages that are being sent simultaneously during one of tens of thousands of social interactions a day. So that might not be so easy for everybody. It might be easier for others, might not be so easy. What does help is that practice makes it better. A program like C2C makes things better. Social interaction, human interaction, fires neurological connections. It creates new neurological connections. So the truth is, things can always get better. When you take time to speak to your students, to maybe speak more slowly, or to allow them to speak to you, sometimes it takes time for them to express themselves, for them to get everything out that they need to. Sometimes they just have to get past their own anxiety. They just have to know you're willing to listen. When you're able to do that for someone with autism, you will begin to notice that they can connect with you more efficiently, that they start to smile, that they start to communicate more effectively. And that's because they feel heard, because we've given them some extra time to figure things out.
Well stated.
I also would like to include one more thing. And I also wanted to say that my mother also taught me that despite having autism, I cannot. Well, this what I'm about to say may not work the same way for some or most autistic individuals. You can't really use your disability as an excuse. Autism or no autism. Just because you're diagnosed what you have, that doesn't mean that it defines you.
Again, well stated.